Attorney General Ken Paxton has launched an investigation into a North Texas Islamic center. This is Wednesday, March 26th, 2025.
Texas Scorecard presents the day's first news for the Lone Star State. The Texas Minute, with your host, Michael Quinn Sullivan.
We are halfway through the week. Thanks for spending part of this Wednesday with the Texas Minute. A group linked to a senior advisor for Greg Abbott is trying to save the embattled Texas lottery, and the Texas Senate has approved the biggest budget in state history. We'll have more on those stories coming up. A former Tarleton State University professor, Julie Howell, has pleaded guilty to stealing nearly $1 million from the school during her tenure. According to court documents, Howell was the department head for Educational Leadership and Technology in the College of Education at Tarleton for 2 years, ending on April 9, 2024. During that time, Howell was given a payment card to be used for travel expenses related to official school business. Instead, she used the card for personal expenditures primarily related to gambling. To conceal the transactions, she transferred money from the card to PayPal accounts that she created under seemingly legitimate business names. Howell is scheduled for sentencing on June 10th in Tarrant County Federal Court. She could be facing 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $2,500. Attorney General Ken Paxton is seeking documentation from the real estate development arm of the East Plano Islamic Center. The AG's investigation is centered on determining if any violations of the state's consumer protection laws have occurred in developing Epic City, that's a planned 402-acre Islamic community. Paxton's investigation is coming on the heels of Governor Greg Abbott's recent declaration that cities centered around Islamic dogma known as Sharia cities are not allowed in Texas. Members of the Texas Senate unanimously approved yesterday a $336 billion state budget for the upcoming 2026-2027 biennium, making it the largest spending plan in state history. Only $6 billion of that is allocated to new property tax relief. Government education receives a substantial boost with $5.3 billion in new funding. In total, public and higher education spending makes up nearly 40% of the entire state budget. Andrew McVeigh is the president of Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. He noted that the budget marked a 40% increase over the last two legislative sessions. Budget work now moves to the House, which has yet to debate or pass a single piece of legislation on the chamber's floor. Republican Brian Harris in Midlothian has become increasingly vocal in condemning what he sees as delays in the House. He stopped by yesterday morning's edition of The Advance to explain how Texans aren't being well served. Here's what he had to say.
And what the leadership, the failed liberal rhino sellout leadership of the Texas House, they want you to believe that just because they're doing things down here in Austin, nothing that benefits you back home, but because they're doing stuff, because they have things on their calendar, you should be grateful for them. You should be grateful at home. Texans are being taxed out of your houses. You should be grateful because Dustin Burrows is grilling steaks in his office.
Hey, I like steaks, but I suspect Speaker Burrows isn't grilling anything for me. Oh, if you enjoyed the Texas Minute, please give us a rating and leave a review. This helps others find the show. I'll be right back.
The Luke Macias Show is your access to what happens behind closed doors in Texas politics. Listen weekly to me, your host, Luke Macias, as I break down what is actually happening in conservative politics in the Lone Star State, a state that we all love and cherish. Listen weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is a product of Texas Scorecard.
A new social media advertising campaign has been launched to protect the embattled Texas lottery amid charges of money laundering and corruption. It turns out that the campaign is linked directly to an advisor in Governor Greg Abbott's office. The day before Texas Scorecard launched the documentary Rigged, a group called Texans for a Stronger Economy appears to have launched a Facebook ad campaign designed to hype the lottery and its alleged economic benefits. According to IRS tax filings, Texans for a Stronger Economy was established as a nonprofit back in 2014 by Austin lobbyist Robert Howden. He launched it specifically to advocate for the Texas lottery. Ahead of this 2025 legislative session, Howden was appointed as an advisor to Governor Greg Abbott's office. According to records from the Texas Ethics Commission that have been aggregated by Transparency USA, Howden has been the sole lobbyist for Texans for a Stronger Economy since its founding, and that he has been compensated for those services. Inexplicably, there's no corresponding expenditure or compensation from the group to Howden in the entity's filings with the IRS. Both Mr. Howden and the governor's office were asked to clarify his relationship with the pro-lottery organization, but neither responded. You can find details on all the stories mentioned today and keep up with the latest news by visiting TexasScorecard.com. This edition of the Texas Minute was based on the original reporting of Valerie Munoz, Will Biagini, Brandon Waltons, and Daniel Greer. It was produced by Nick Shepard. I look forward to seeing you out around the Lone Star State. Have a great day.